Hi everyone, my name is Luxthos, and welcome to a Demonology Warlock Midnight class overview. So I just got done recording for Affliction and Unholy Decay, and there's a ton of good class changes coming to Midnight, and this is the third spec that I wanted to cover in order of how happy and impressed I am with the class changes. I'm going to try to make this as concise as possible. For the other classes, I pretty much did a little TLDR of all the class changes that are coming up, and then I went over every single talent in the talent tree, so you guys can get an idea. Demonology doesn't have that many changes, but it has some really, really good changes. The first thing, which seems to be the name of the game for Midnight, is that we're reducing ability bloat, so less cooldown, a little bit simpler, easier rotation for most classes, which is very good and was very much needed. Some classes were getting absolutely out of hand, and this is really, really good. So we're going to go right into the game right now, and I'm going to showcase some of my favorite changes for Demonology, and then we're going to go over all of the talent. So I'm just going to give you a quick TLDR of all the things that I think are notable and important for the changes and how that's going to affect the playstyle. So they don't have as many changes as other spec. I mean, some specs don't even have pretty much any changes so far. So Demonology still has a lot, but it's not a complete rework. It's just a simplification, I think, of what it does, and it's doing a lot of things really, really well. So first of all, Hand of Gul'dan has a new playstyle to it, which kind of helps you understand how to play your class a little bit better too. We're going to see how that plays out, but this is quite interesting. So when you control six wild imps, so it says 3, but it's actually 6. When you control 6 of them, it turns Hand of Gul'dan into Eye of Gul'dan. And what that does is, instead of doing a big splash of AoE damage, it will do high single target damage. So pretty much, you don't want to have more than 6 imp if you're doing 6 imps if you're doing AoE. So if you're in Mythic Plus and you get to 6, you want to implode, which is normally technically the rotation. Every time you get to 6 and there's more than 2 target, you should be using implosion. That's just how the rotation goes. But now Blizzard is kind of building that into the game. Hand of Gul'dan is no longer able to be cast from 1 to 3 shard. So this removes a lot of confusion for new player, and that's a really, really good thing. Also, I think they removed Corruption from... Yeah, Corruption was just hanging in there, and you were able to cast it as Demonology, which was super confusing for new player. So you can only cast it with 3 shards, so it simplifies... it makes it even clearer what you're supposed to do. And as you can see, once I get 3, nothing happens, but then I'm going to build up all the way back to 3 shard, and I'm going to cast it again. And now the ability turns into Eye of Gul'dan. So I can keep casting Shadow Bolt, and I can cast this. And there we go. So we do like a massive beam single target, and that's all there is to it. If we do Explode, it goes back to being Hand of Gul'dan. So it kind of teaches you, hey, you should cast this ability twice, and then you should implode if there's multiple target. If there's not multiple target, then you probably want to keep spamming Eye of Gul'dan because it's going to do massive increase in single target. So this is going to be quite interesting. I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, and versus like maybe 2 target or 3 target, like when's going to be the threshold for all of these, but that is one of the first interesting change that I've noticed. Second interesting changes is they remove the pet ability bloat completely. So you have Summon Felguard, which is really interesting. This is your main Felguard. This is not an additional Felguard. This is not like this is your pet Felguard. It's not the 2-minute cooldown that we used to have. We no longer have this. Which means that there's a possibility where you play without Felguard. I don't really know what that means, but there's not a lot of talent here that plays with Felguard. There is Fel Armament. Increase the damage dealt by your primary demon by 5%, and Luxthos now removes 1 Artful magic effect from you. So that's quite interesting. So there's like 2 abilities that play into it, and that's pretty much it. So that kind of means that we could be playing... I don't know how big the damage is going to be for Felguard, but it means that we could be playing with Imp or with Fellhunter for interrupt. So this is quite interesting. We seem to no longer have like any ability based on the Felguard to make him do like So demonic strength is on my bar, but it doesn't seem to be available in the talent in the spell. So it seems like we lost our second Bladestorm, which was kind of awkward as well. It was a really weird playstyle that you had to wait for your Felguard to be done with their Fellstorm before you did like an empowered version. I always thought that was kind of weird. The weak ores that I made had to track if one was on CD or used, so you would understand why you're not able to press it, and it was kind of clunky. So this is interesting. Felguard is obviously probably going to be better in AoE because of the Bladestorm, but I wonder how they're going to tune the other pet and how that's going to go. But you can technically not play with Felguard, which is crazy. Crazy, but also kind of cool. Because that means that you could play with the other pet if you need like different abilities or different utilities, which is quite insane. I never thought that was going to happen. So that's really, really cool. I don't know if that's going to be the case tuning-wise, but that's one of the biggest changes. The second one is the Vilefiend is no longer a keybind. It will simply spawn from Dreadstalker. So as soon as you Dreadstalk, you automatically get your big dog in the back that is being summoned. Obviously, when things aren't on passive, they're going to go ahead and attack. But that's pretty much how that goes. So that is really, really cool. So they're removing another button bloat, which is just going to simplify the rotation for Demonology. Another big change is you can now make your Tyrant be a melee cleaving Tyrant. And Tauren Armaments is going to make Demonic Tyrant be fully plated and increase their armor. I don't know, 10% armor seems very negligible. I'm assuming they're not going to take that much AoE damage. I'm assuming they're going to be quite tanky. But pretty much once this is out, it's going to have like this massive green awesome armor, and it's just going to go in melee and start slashing stuff, which I think is really cool. So you can literally just cast your Demonic Tyrant and have everything go in melee, and then you can just see him just go to town on everything and just cleaving everything, which I think looks quite awesome. So you have the possibility. Do you want a single target Tyrant that is going to buff your entire army and stay back and throw his big bolt? Or do you want a melee Tyrant that's going to go in melee and start cleaving everything up to a target, which is really awesome. I love this playstyle. They're changing also the way that you earn Doomguard, so we no longer have to do like a tab target rotation where we are doing management of the Doom Curse. That's gone, so they're simplifying that. And now Doomguard just has a chance to spawn whenever you implosion. So every time you implode, you have a 10% chance per imp to summon a Doomguard, which is insane. And they will be casting Doombolt Volley, which is really, really cool because we lost that in the previous expansion. That was something that we had in a previous expansion. The Doomguard was summoning, was doing like massive Shadowbolt Volley, and that was visually really cool, and it was cool for the damage profile. I thought it was a really, really neat thing. And we lost that in War Within. So now they're bringing that back. And there you go. So you got your Doomguard just casting. He's casting single target Shadowbolt, but it says 5 enemies. So I'm assuming it's just a glitch. They did the talent, but they haven't coded the Doomguard yet to work correctly. So I'm assuming he's going to be casting. That's really, really cool. And then the more imp you sacrifice for him, for on the summon, the more damage he's going to do. So that's cool. That's a really interesting playstyle. It's going to make you want to go for that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 imp if you can, or if you can get... so if you extend with like Tyrant and then you implode like 20 imp, is that just going to give you like an insane amount of damage on your Doomguard and just do crazy, like doubling its damage, tripling its damage, depending on the amount of imp? So that is super interesting to me. That is a very, very cool talent. Outside of that, a couple of other talent that we're going to go over one by one. Power Siphon kind of have been moved down, and it's sacrificing 3 Wild Imp to generate 3 charges, and it makes Demon Bolt do more damage. And then you have like Ancient Imp at the bottom here, which is kind of cool of another playstyle. There's not really anything that has changed through Diabolist and Soul Harvester. All the talents are still under construction. And the basic tree here we're going to go over. But pretty much that's the biggest thing here. It's just... my keybinds are super clean. I don't have like button bloat. It's just going to simplify my rotation so much. You no longer have to do like a bunch of tab targeting. You no longer have to manage a bunch of cooldown for a bunch of pets to line up for the Tyrant. No, you just get a bunch of imp And when you get like a good amount, you can, you get your dog out, you get the Vilefiend at the same time, and then you Tyrant. You don't have to have too many things going on. It's just going to be a super smooth spec, and it's going to have, you're pretty much not going to be making too many mistakes. There's going to be things that you can still mess up, and you're still going to have a slight room for mastering the class, but I think the floor and the point of entry of the class is going to be, it was already pretty low, but it was already pretty straightforward to do good damage with Demonology, but people had a ton of question, right? Do I want to cast before 3? How many do I need for Implosion? How many and now, like, they kind of streamline all of this into baseline on the tooltip. You just read the tooltip, and you automatically go like, oh, okay, so I lose my AoE ability on Head of Gul'dan if I have more than 6. Okay, I'm going to sacrifice them, right? It kind of teaches you that, which is kind of fun and kind of cool. So I'm going to go over every single ability here really, really quickly. We're just going to give you guys a quick overview of all the changes. We've went over Hand of Gul'dan, pretty straightforward. Implosion didn't really change. Call Dreadstalker, still good same. Damage of Implosion increase for each Wild Imp active when Implosion is cast. So the more you pile up, the more damage you're going to get from the Implosion. So if you finish a pull after a Tyrant, fully extended, you have 20 massive Implosion damage. Intelligence just being increased by 2% and 2% mastery. That seems to be the case for pretty much all Warlock spec. They all have like a little passive stats in there just to kind of fill the tree. At least it's there for Affliction. We have the Dreadbite doing AoE damage with the Dreadlash. We have Demoniac. Demoniac, I kind of want to say it in French, which is just giving you access to Demon Bolt and the whole Demon Core system. So when Wild Imp fades or imploded, you have a 10% chance to absorb their life essence, granting you Demonic Core. And when Dreadstalker fade away, you get a Demonic Core as well. And then you have a max of 10 stacks. So that's just how that works. So it's pretty much always worked like that, but it's all baked into one talent now. This increased the number of Wild Imp you can control by 3 and the damage they do. This gives you access to your primary Felguard. Hand of Gul'dan can now empower one of the Wild Imp it summons, increasing its damage by 100%. So this is Imgang Bus. And it's really cool because once you implode that Imgang Bus, it's going to do more damage on the Implosion. So that's kind of interesting here. Reduce the casting time of Shadow Bolt, the damage of your primary demon. Reduce the cooldown of the Fellstorm by 10 seconds and the damage the primary demon is doing. So by default, this is a 30-second cooldown. It goes down to 20. So that gives you quite consistent AoE from the Felguard. Imperator increased the critical strike chance of the Wild Imp Firebolt. And this one is pretty cool. So when your Wild Imp casts Fireball, they have a 10% chance to instantly cast another one at 200% effectiveness. So it just kind of fires a ton of bolt at the target, which is really, really cool. Increase the attack speed of your Dreadstalker and their critical strike chance. It makes them have a chance to do a double bite. This one is quite interesting. So more damage from primary demon, and Axe Toss removes one armful magic effect from you. Which is really interesting, because one of the biggest issue with Axe Toss is that it stuns the target. So I wonder how they're going to be doing this, because it makes it quite interesting, right? Because you're trying to interrupt a target that's like super far away, right? So you have a caster that's like sitting in the back. You try to interrupt them, and then instead of running to you, they're now stunned. So they don't run to you, and then when they get out of the stun, their interrupt phase is over, and they keep casting again. So it feels a little bit weird. I wish they would have given us an option here to change the interrupt of the Felguard to be maybe a longer blanket silence, but without the stun portion. That would solve this issue, and then we could choose, do you want a stun or do you want a blanket silence? I would prefer a blanket silence, but again, now we have the option, I guess, to not spec Felguard and go for the Fel Hunter. That's quite interesting. We're going to see how that plays out. Critical strike from Spell and Demon. Tyrant, 1 minute CD. Empowers your Imp and your Dreadstalker to empowers their duration and makes them do more damage. What's interesting is it doesn't mention Vilefiend. So we're gonna have to test out if Vilefiend is actually getting extended here. So the dog is getting extended. Vilefiend is also getting extended. Okay, so it doesn't specify it on here. It says Dreadstalker and Wild Imp, but it does seem to affect also Vilefiend. Critical strike chance of your primary demon. So 50% of your critical strike chance. That's kind of nice. End of Gul'dan has a chance to generate charges of Demonic Core. Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt deal additional damage per demon you have. This is how to make Burning Cleave, which is how you make your Demonic Tyrant do AoE cleave damage, which is really cool. Super big fan of this. He looks amazing. Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt have a chance to make your next Dreadtalker cost nothing and be instant cast, so we already had this. Master Summoner, increase your mastery by 6%, which increase your demon damage. And it reduces the casting time of Dreadstalker and summon Demonic Tyrant and summon Felguard by 30%. So this is really, really cool. It brings it back a little bit to that, you know, the summon. I mean, it's still a very long cooldown to summon, honestly. I wish it was a little bit shorter. It happens sometimes where you'll use Fel Domination and then your pet, something happens to him and he just goes away and then you're just sitting there for 5 seconds. I wish this would maybe make it maybe all the way up to 60, 70%. That would be good. But for now, that's pretty good. Sacrificing 3 Wild Imp for 3 charges, so that's really, really cool. And then you get additional damage as well, plus the Ancient Imp, so it's just stronger Imp. They have bonuses, and you can have up to 3 active at all time. We're going to go see real quick what they look like. Explosive Core, so it makes it so that Demonic Core deals a portion, 30% of its damage to all the enemies around, reduced beyond a target. And then the Summon Doomguard, where you implode, and it creates a Doomguard that spams Shadow Bolt. Increase the number of Wild Imp you can control by 3 and increases their haste. So this is just goes into stacking as much demon as you can. The Imp seems to be lasting a very, very long time. I'm gonna have to like test this further, but it seems like they're lasting a lot more than they used to. Maybe it's just the Imp Gang boss. They seem to throw a lot of Fireball. Like they're still casting here. And then we got 3 Ancient Imp. And everything is just casting forever. I have 9 right now, and none of it is going away. So it seems like the baseline duration of these or their energy system has been massively increased. So they kind of made it where a lot of the build are going to make you want to stack as... Like, they're still casting. None of them has disappeared. I'm still at 9 right now, which is crazy. But you have a limit to how many you can have, which is quite interesting. So there's a limit to how many imp you can have at once, and then you can have more with some additional talent. So there's kind of a point where even if they last forever, you know, if you... The new cast is simply going to, like, I'm assuming, kill some of the other and replace them. So that's quite interesting. Eye of Gul'dan has a 10% chance to survive its initial blast and then do AoE damage. So this is probably going to be good in certain cleave cases, maybe on single target, where you're going to be playing without sacrificing your imp, but you want to have a chance at cleaving the damage, maybe? We'll see. It seems to be doing a lot of damage over it, like 3,500 damage, and this is pretty massive. It's really, really good. And then we got, obviously, the Vilefiend with single target and AoE option here. So that kind of does it for Demonology. We covered a little bit of the Warlock class tree when I did my Affliction video. I made a little mistake explaining, like, all of these. They're not implemented yet, so it's a little bit complicated. But as you can see, all of the tree kind of changed. It has a different placement, a lot of not yet implemented stuff. But we got some really, really cool stuff here, and I'm going to cover it. So we have Curse of Weakness baseline right now. So you can use Curse of Weakness, which does what it always did, which is time between attack right there. But if you pick Exhaustion, it replaces Curse of Weakness for Exhaustions, which means you can't have both at the same time. And then Curse of Tongue also replaces it. It's not yet implemented, so we don't know how this is going to work. Is my curse going to gain both effect? Or are they going to, like, nullify each other? That seems like that wouldn't make any sense. So that's why there's, like, a not yet implemented right now. They probably don't know yet how they're going to fix this. But seems interesting. The best part is this one. Casting Curse of Exhaustion, Tongue, or Weakness now curse all the enemies within 10 yards. So whichever one you pick, you're going to be able to affect every enemy on a single cast, which makes it insanely valuable now. Because before, you would lose a GCD only to curse one enemy. But now if I can curse an entire pack in Mythic Plus to cast 30% slower for a whole minute, That's worth the GCD. That's kind of nice. That's really, really good. Drain Life also heals your pet, which is nice. Drain Life just heals faster. Reduce the casting time of Demonic Gateway, and you can use it twice. And this thing is interesting. So, Blight Weakness. Call forth a cloud of cloying shadow mist that envelop the target and all enemies within 10 yards, increasing the time between their attack by 100% and reducing their critical strike chance by 10%. That is insane. If we're talking about Mythic Plus, that's crazy. That's going to be so much less damage on your tank. That's kind of insane. So I don't know how they're going to do this. I don't know. It says passive right now. I'm assuming it's going to replace Curse of Weakness. And I don't know how they're all going to fit this. I don't know how it's all going to work. But so far, it's looking really good. We still have, you know, Swift Sacrifice, Pack of Gluttony, all that good stuff. We still have Soul Burn. All of that is here. It's looking really, really, really good. I just realized we didn't cover the Apex talent. So we're going to go over Dominion of Argus. So we're going to remove a couple of talent here. All right, so we're going to remove these talent right here. I'm going to remove these, and we're going to put some points in here, and we're going to see all of this. So this one gives you the greater Dreadstalker. So when you call Dreadstalker, you summon an additional one, which gives you a greater one at 200% effectiveness. Only one Dreadstalker can be summoned at a time, and its duration is refresh when resummoned. So you can pretty much have a permanent Dreadstalker available because it's summoned every time you cast Dreadstalker, which is 12 seconds, and this one is 30 seconds, and then it refreshes the duration. So you don't even need to extend its duration, it's just there permanently. You increase the damage of your Felguard Legion Strike by 50% and Fellstorm by 50%. So if you go this route, you have to go into this pet route with the additional crit, additional damage, and all that good stuff. And then Dominion of Argus. So a Soulkeeper stalks you, collecting demonic core as you use them. It has an increased chance to unleash a powerful attack at your target whenever it collects a demonic core. So it will do an ability called Will Break. So the Soulbreaker assaults the target's souls with chaos magic, inflicting chaos damage to all the enemy within 10 yards every X number of second for X amount of second. Damage is reduced beyond a target. So this is just going to play into us spamming or... Pretty much, it's probably going to play into Power Siphon a lot, giving us even more. But, I mean, we're already going to have a lot of generation, so... So as long as we get some charge here, we'll be fine. I want to see if there's, like, a specific animation towards it. I'm just going to implode these guys. There we go. And then we're going to use 1, 2... It might not be implemented also. There's absolutely nothing that seems to be collecting, so I think the talent is not... There's no buff, there's nothing right now, so we don't know anything. Also, I realized I could have simply implosioned the Ancient Imp earlier. But they're permanent, so I think they would have simply came back nonstop, so. So yeah, it seems like it's not implemented, but I like the idea of it, which is really cool. Is the big Dreadstalker is not implemented as yet, so the whole thing is not implemented, which is the case for a lot of classes. So we're going to get to see those a little bit further, but at least we get to read what the idea is. It doesn't add keybind to your class. It doesn't do anything. So that's really, really awesome. These are not going to be here. They're going to be at the bottom in a better spot, and it's just going to look cleaner. So overall, I think that covers everything for Demonology. It just simplifies it, create less button bloat, less timing with multiple pet. I think this is going to be a lot more fun for people to play. Demonology is so fun. It's strong in every scenario. 1 target to 20. It doesn't matter. Tyrant is a 1-minute CD, which makes the class super fun to play in Mythic Plus. And now it just got even better. It's gotten even more simplified, even more straight up, and you can fully customize your playstyle for single target AoE, and I think that is absolutely awesome. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be playing a ton of Unholy DK, Affliction Warlock, and Demonology Warlock on my channel. As soon as the alpha goes live, I'm going to be covering and doing dungeons and leveling and doing all kind of crazy stuff with all my favorite classes. If you want to watch that, it's going to be available on Twitch, but also on YouTube and a bunch of other streaming platforms. Or you can just come say hello if you want to as well. I like that also. Until then, my friend, I hope I see you in Midnight. Have a good one. Bye-bye.